Well, Lester, at this point in the campaign, it's important to look at not only where the polls are, but as you say, where these candidates are spending their time and where they're spending their money. And for Barack Obama of late, it has been all about trying to glean votes from what had been solidly Republican states, whether it's Colorado, where we are now, or Nevada, where he started his day early this morning. Barack Obama is so hoping to turn the Silver State blue that he took a flight in the middle of the night from Gary, Indiana, all the way to Las Vegas so he could make one final pitch before Election Day.
We are going to have to work like our future depends on it in these last 3 days, because it does.
We can get 2 years right here.
Early voting ended Friday here, and the early numbers have the Obama campaign feeling confident. A majority of the ballots cast so far are from either Democrats or independents. The turnout Obama advisors say shows the senator's 6 visits here since clinching the nomination may have paid off.
And that is why we are going to win this election right here in this state, right here, in 3 days.
Just where Obama is choosing to spend his time is in stark contrast to where John Kerry spent his in 2004. Back then, the final 72 hours of the campaign saw Kerry in places like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, mostly Democratic strongholds. By comparison, look where Obama has been spending his time. Although he is hitting the traditional battlegrounds of Ohio and Florida, most of his stops are in reliably Republican venues: Nevada, Colorado, Indiana, Missouri, and North Carolina.
Something's happening in America, in small towns and big cities.
And he's infusing some last-minute ad money into red states like North Dakota, Georgia, even John McCain's home state of Arizona. A sign of overconfidence? His running mate Joe Biden says hardly. This is a fight, he says, going all the way to the end.
It ain't over till it's over. I mean, we feel good, things look good, but it's not over yet.
So, Lester, so far all of this is going according to script that the Obama campaign had laid out, with one exception, and that's that a distant relative of Senator Obama, his half-aunt from Kenya, turns out that she is living in this country illegally in Boston. The senator said he did not know of her illegal status. The campaign has returned her campaign contributions, and he says he expects any U.S. laws that apply to her status be followed.
And Lee, this reminds us that illegal immigration was such a huge conversation in this country a year and a half ago, not talked about much now. Where does Obama stand on that issue?
Well, you're right. It hasn't been talked about that much. Like John McCain, Barack Obama has called for comprehensive immigration reform. He's called for a crackdown on employers who hire illegal immigrants to try and get rid of the incentive for them to come here. But as for the 12 million people who were already in this country illegally, he's called for sort of a pathway to citizenship where they would pay a fine, they would learn English, and then essentially get in the back of the line to then wait for their citizenship to come through.
All right, Lee Cowan in Colorado tonight. Lee, thanks. John McCain spent today here in the East defending traditional Republican turf, another sign of how unusual this election has been. Tonight, however, he is paying a visit to our home here at Rockefeller Plaza in New York, and that's where we find my colleague Kelly O'Donnell. Kelly, if he's live in New York on a Saturday night, it can only mean one thing. You know where I'm going with this, right?
Oh, absolutely, Lester. John McCain broke out of the battleground map, and he came here, right here. Why? Because this is a place that seems to be wielding a lot of political influence. Now, before he rehearses his lines for his appearance on Saturday Night Live, today he was out running in Pennsylvania and Virginia.
In Virginia today, everything John McCain needed to say came down to 3 words on a handmade sign: keep Virginia red.
My friends, I need your help. Volunteer. Knock on doors. With your help, we can win.
The last 10 times Virginia voters picked a president, they went Republican. But polls show McCain struggling. He usually talks big picture, but today made this race seem local.
I want to remind you again, Fairfax County is key to this election. You know that. You know how important it is for us to win here.
The pace is brisk for Governor Sarah Palin. 5 events today in 3 battleground states.
Great to be back in the Sunshine State.
Like McCain, Palin delivers a closing argument, hitting big issues and hitting Senator Obama.
What is he thinking?
She means Obama and taxes. McCain advisors say in their own polling, that has been their breakthrough, blunting McCain's decline after the financial markets collapse.
Senator Obama has an ideological commitment to higher taxes.
Palin does acknowledge the excitement around Obama's candidacy. but then tells voters not to confuse Democrats' popularity with Democrats' policy.
They can fill a stadium, but they cannot keep our country safe.
Aside from defending red states, McCain is trying to take from Democrats two that went blue. New Hampshire, he's headed there tomorrow, and Pennsylvania. McCain stopped near Allentown today, hoping to persuade voters he's still in it.
My friends, when I see this kind of support, when I see this momentum, when I see this great support, I know we're going to win.
And Lester, now it gets really busy. Over the next 48 hours, they will hit 14 states, events beginning in the morning, some even after midnight. It's going to be a very busy time. Lester?
And Kelly, John McCain gets the last laugh tonight on Saturday Night Live, but I understand his running mate Sarah Palin had a bit of a joke played on her today. What's the story there?
Well, this is probably going to get a lot of attention. What happened was a well-known Canadian radio disc jockey placed a call that somehow got through to a staffer of Governor Palin, pretending to be French President Sarkozy. She had a conversation with him for a few minutes, pleasantries exchanged, and then the man told her it was a prank. She then got off the phone and said, well, these things happen in life. But also, it's important to know this Canadian radio artist has been very successful. He has also pranked Queen Elizabeth II and former French President Jacques Chirac. So she just said, c'est la vie. Lester?
All right, Kelly O'Donnell with a few friends on Rockefeller Plaza tonight. Kelly, thanks. NBC News political director Chuck Todd is also with us in New York tonight. First, Chuck, is the electoral landscape still shifting even at this late date?
It is a little bit, particularly in some of these red states again, places like Georgia and North Dakota, Montana. These are states that are slipping either from one-time likely solid McCain territory to either leaning his way, and some of them even slipping into toss-up status. We're always evaluating at every moment, but it looks like particularly Montana, Georgia, and North Dakota, three states that we're keeping a very close eye on right now.
Now, McCain stuck to his pledge to accept public financing. As a result, we know he's at a serious money disadvantage. What's he do now? Does he spend all his money on the ground, or is he going to spend his money on TV?
They made the decision to match Barack Obama dollar for dollar on television. Between John McCain and the Republican Party, the Republican National Committee, they are going ahead and doing that in these last 2 weeks. That's the good news for their campaign. There are a lot of Republicans, though, not involved in this campaign that are wondering, why do this now? This is the time of year when everybody running for office has bought TV time. Everybody is on the air, whether you're running for city council or running for president. So is it a diminishing return that you get on your investment? And with the ground operations of Obama just overwhelming McCain in places like Florida and Virginia, could the money have been better spent there? But that's for Wednesday morning. Right now, it's about Election Day.
Watching all the late strategy changes, NBC News political director Chuck Todd. Chuck, thanks.
Okay, Lester.
Even before Election Day, records are being set in this year's presidential race. Officials are reporting record turnout in early voting, with many locations extending hours to handle the numbers. NBC's Kerry Sanders has been watching the long lines in Florida today. He joins us now from outside Orlando. Kerry, good evening.
Good evening, Lester. It is unprecedented. The line here, 3 hours long. It'll continue well into the night. Nationwide, it's estimated 30%, that's 40 million voters, will have cast their votes early. By the time the sun was up, lines at some Florida early voting sites extended 3 hours, and the wait only got longer. Still, 5-hour-long lines turned few voters away.
The lines are this long on Saturday. They're going to be terrible on Tuesday.
In this battleground state, it's estimated more than 3 million voters have already cast ballots, 30% of Florida's registered voters. Both parties here acknowledge more Democrats than Republicans have voted early.
The McCain supporters are a little more quiet with how they support him. So you definitely can't draw a conclusion from that, because that's just inaccurate. That doesn't say anything about who's voting for who.
More than 30 states have early voting. Experts say at this rate, 1 in 3 voters will have cast their choices before Tuesday. From Georgia to South Carolina to across the nation, elections observers say this year's early voters are decidedly younger and African American.
It's worth the wait. If I had to wait all day long, if I had to wait 2 days, I still would wait.
With lines this long, a good question might be, why not just use an absentee ballot, stick it in an envelope and mail it in? Here in Florida, voters say because human errors in the past have caused some absentee ballots to be missed, they wanted to stand in line no matter how long to make sure their votes are counted.